Okay, so here we go live on Sports Today. Today, I've got a very, very special program for you over the next 10, 15 minutes. I've got my friend Norman Kochanek, who's traveled to Bowral. This is one trip that Norman had very kindly taken me to. And let me tell you, it was an absolutely mind blowing experience of mine and another friend of ours, Ashok Nambudri, in 2018. We were in Sydney when India was about to win that test series. So Norman did that trip for us and we followed it up with an Indian meal that evening. Thanks to Norman again. Today, Norman has gone and done that trip for Sports Today fans and Sports Today viewers. Norman, appreciate you doing it. Over to you. I can see the Cricket Hall of Fame and the Bradman Hall of Fame behind you. So over to you. Go for it. Tell us where you are, how it is going. Give us a sense of the whole place.
Sure, Boria. I'm currently about an hour and a half south of Sydney in what they call the Southern Highlands of Sydney. This area is extremely famous, and I think it's the most historic location, not just for cricket, but for sport in the world. Sir Donald Bradman is quoted as being the best sports person ever by way of statistics, and Sir Don actually lived the formative years of his life here, from the age of 3 until he was 20. He lived in 2 locations, one being 52 Shepherd Street and the other being on Glebe Street, which is just behind this building. This particular building, which has been not only opened by Sir Donald Bradman himself, but also endorsed and supported through the Bradman Foundation. This particular building, as you can see, is the Cricket Hall of Fame. It really is truly a Bradman museum, but it's gone beyond that. It has gone through the whole scope of history, including the likes of Sachin Tendulkar, who has been here on a number of occasions and absolutely loves this place, has also donated a lot of his cricketing memorabilia to the location. It has the entire history of cricket, from way back to the time when there was a bat that they have inside from 1750, right through the Indigenous cricketers onto the current day. And it has a plethora of Indian cricketing history here, including the work that Sachin Tendulkar has personally given to the museum. Now, this location in Bowral is beyond just simply a cricket museum. It has an amazing ground called Bradman Oval. It has dotted around this area probably 15 to 20 grounds that Bradman played on personally. Quite incredible. There was a day here about 5 years ago.
If I can stop you there. So basically, in a COVID-controlled post-COVID world, hopefully in 21, when or in 22, when the Cricket World Cup happens in Australia, when Indian tourists visit Australia, all they need to do is land in Sydney and undertake this trip to the Bradman Museum. Give us a sense. How do you go in there? What are the requirements? What is the commute like? Can you do a half-day trip? Give us a sense of the whole place and what are the things that you see there?
Well, being an hour to hour and a half away from Sydney, it's a very easy drive to come down here and spend half a day or even ultimately a full day. It's not an issue as to how long you wish to stay here. There's so much to see in the time that you're here. You can even play a game of cricket on Bradman Oval with organisation. A number of touring teams come here to play cricket. Or you can spend the days at the cafes and the museum and soak in the history of Bradman. You can even get specialised tours to everywhere, including grave sites of the Bradman family. It's an amazing plethora of things you can do. The cost-wise, it's very inexpensive. You could either get a train down here or a simple coach if you have a large enough group. And your total overall cost would be, I'd say, between $50 and $100 in the day at max. That would include museum entry and the whole gamut of activities you take on in Bowral. The reality is that it has significance, as I said, beyond cricket. It's actually sport. One place in particular, which is a specialised tour, would be 52 Shepherd Street. As you know, Boria, you've been to it. It has the actual original tank stand. It has literally everything original about it. It has been brought back to life to its exact condition. Amazing.
Norman, when you say the tank stand, explain to my viewers the tank stand, because you were kind enough to take me there, and I actually played, with that ball there, and I've got a video of that. But talk to us about the significance of the tank stand, because plenty of people who are watching this or will watch this broadcast will want to know a bit of the history of the tank stand.
Sure. I must first add that I think you hit it 3 times against there. That might be a record only Bradman's beaten, but that's something separate. Okay, the tank stand. When Sir Donald Bradman was a young kid, he basically could not get enough of cricket. So he would do things against the back fence, against the back areas of his home, wherever he could get a chance. But what he based a lot of his practice on was the specific water tank that was the tank stand, as they call it, attached to the home that took stormwater on. He would then think of a way of improving his batting. Now, he wasn't just satisfied with a cricket bat. He decided to use a cricket stump. And I can assure you the cricket stump of the day was a lot thinner than what you have now. He also had a golf ball, and that golf ball with that stump was used to play shots against this tank stand that was corrugated, which means the ball could go in any number of directions and he would have no clue as to its next bounce. He was able to repetitively hit the ball, a golf ball, by a cricket stump against that tank stand, and was able to hone his skills, and hence the magnificent batsman that he was. That, I think, is a great way of looking at it, and I would recommend it to any kid.
Yeah, this is so interesting, because if you now think that this man was doing it in the 1920s while growing up in Australia in Bowral, and about 70 years later, 60 years later, unknowingly, without knowing that Sir Donald Bradman had done this, a young kid growing up in the chawls of Mumbai, in Mumbai, did the same in his house with his aunt. He did the exact same. Sachin Tendulkar took a golf ball and chopped off the edges of the golf ball to ensure that it could go in any direction, and he would have no clue. He got his aunt to throw that golf ball at him repetitively, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times a day, and started batting with that golf ball to master his defensive stroke. So here comes the legend in Donald Bradman. Here comes the protege in Sachin Tendulkar. How the two people meet without even knowing what the two were doing is one of the greatest stories of world cricket, according to me. Norman, your thoughts?
I agree totally. These things can't be planned. They happen organically. Life deals out the cards, and a young child who has the inspiration to do something similar just shows the dedication, the true ability, the true sense of worth that sport has to that gentleman and that boy in that case. The reality is Don Bradman was not only good at cricket, he was good at table tennis. He excelled at everything he did, even musically. The boy was gifted, as I'm sure this boy was as well. And that's something that we need to harness and be aware of. You can't get more history than that. In fact, as I said earlier, there is no sports person, whether it's a Tiger Woods or a Jack Nicklaus or Michael Jordan, that can match the Bradman record. And I think we need to understand the significance of Bowral, and when you come to Australia, the importance of visiting here, in particular 52 Shepherd Street and the museum and a number of other aspects of it.
Fabulous. And it actually sort of makes sense for us to travel to Australia more, because come Wednesday, we are told, or rather come Tuesday, the government of Australia, the government of New South Wales has allowed full entry into cricket stadiums. So for the first time since March, since the takeover of the world by COVID and the pandemic, we will have a Sydney cricket ground packed to capacity. And I'm sure our dear friend Norman Kochanek will be there. Norman, your thoughts on seeing a Sydney cricket ground once again, chock-a-block to capacity come Tuesday?
I honestly can't believe it. It's such a shock to me that so quickly has Australia harnessed the way to handle COVID-19 and the pandemic. We've been very fortunate. We've been very strict, but it's come and has paid dividends now with the full stadium. The roar of an Indian crowd at 100%, let's be honest, 80 to 90% of that crowd will be Indian, either Indian born or Indian derivation. They'll be certainly there in force. And I believe that it's a magnificent spectacle. T20s alive with the colours of the blue of India, the gold of Australia, and my green shirt. I'll be standing out, of course, because I'm not small. But the reality is, it is a magnificent venue. The SCG, yet again, has enormous history. Just one little tidbit on the SCG, which I think people need to be aware of. Whenever you go to the SCG, look at the old member stand. That has been there since 1848, and the history of that particular stand is beyond belief. What is interesting, in the opposition dressing room, that is the England dressing room of the time, they did not have, the professionals and the amateurs in that team did not mix until they entered the field. And there are two separate doors which those players entered the ground on and never met before or after the match, only during the match. That little tidbit of history is the doors are exactly in the same position and nothing has changed. It is something that it beggars belief how incredibly intriguing that is to see a stadium with a stand of that history and the peculiarity of those doors. Again,
Okay,
that is
so
the Indian dressing room on most occasions. They have an old cupboard there which has autographs there as well. Incredible, worth a tour.
What I will request, Norman, is post the T20 game. Norman has access to the Sydney Cricket Ground because he's played for the institution also. So if he can go there for one day at his convenience and show this to us, to our viewers, it will be absolutely fabulous. On that note, Norman, all the very best for tomorrow's game and for Tuesday's game. But with your permission, I want to start this on Sports Today. We will call this show the Australian Summer. And from the current week, all we will do is talk about cricket stories. Stories of Indians in Australia, Australians in India, India v Australia cricket stories with you. We will join with our friends. We will all celebrate the game of cricket and our return to a part degree of normalcy with a full house at the Sydney Cricket Ground. And yes, Michael Clarke's retirement 2 days before that, I mean, the Sydney semi-final, which India lost in 15. The first question Michael was asked is, half the ground or more than half the ground will be Indian. In Australia, that's a statement how strong India is. May the best team win, but may the sport win. And Norman, you've been an absolute delight to be on Sports Today. Keep getting us these insights, and let's catch up tomorrow after the game and before the game. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. My pleasure, Bora. Thank you for your time.